Is there a huge shift to PC gaming? That's kind of a question I've been asking myself lately, especially with my newfound interest or recent found interest in the Steam Deck. I was diving deeper online and looking into all the different console stuff and looking at the history of what I used to do in this space and wanted to get a little bit more clarity of like, okay, well, maybe this is a huge thing. Maybe there's a lot of people that are like, oh no, we're gonna go PC. But upon looking deeper and deeper, I realized no, it's not the case. I don't think there is a huge exodus from the console space, but rather a new introduction of a way to play that is creating some interest, maybe not switching interest, but interest nonetheless. I was having a conversation with one of our beloved Discord members, Christian, a good dude, and he's saving up to purchase one of his first consoles. Saving up to get a PlayStation 5. And the community, the Discord community, as well as I think we talked about on Twitch too, got involved and was like, let's pump the brakes for a second. Let's consider some other options. I, for one, fan of Sony. Nothing wrong with them, and I don't have any problems with their hardware at all. I don't use it primarily. Currently, I still have it because it didn't sell well, so I was like, oh, I'm not going to sell this for pennies on the dollar. I'll hold on to it. And I am playing through Final Fantasy VII, all of the Final Fantasy VII remake games on Twitch. A lot of fun. JDX Coffee, go check it out. But the conversation around getting a PS5 quickly shifted. I was like, dude, you're, young. I think he's definitely still in high school. I don't remember the exact age. It's not important. You are gonna move off to college, maybe move out at some point. The PlayStation is great, but you share, the TV with your family, and is the PlayStation the best option for you? Especially now that we see a lot of these titles that, PlayStation, Xbox are releasing, coming over to PC. What is the new exciting thing about this PC gaming, or Steam Deck gaming, as we Deck Daddies like to lean into, that makes it so unbelievably attractive as a gaming style? I'm not just going to talk about the really, really cool portability of it, because that is really nice. It's more along the lines of how games are managed. I know I've talked about that before, and that's definitely something that I find to be very, very advantageous as someone who has started to build a library on Steam. I do have a feeling of confidence when it comes to where my games are living, how long they're going to live for, but most importantly, my access for them in the future. That is probably the number one most important thing, is how long will these games be able to be played by me in using my hardware that I own. And for a new gamer, a young gamer even, who is wanting to get into gaming, and is like, I'm finally going to be able to buy a console of my own, or buy something of my own, it's starting to look like something like a Steam Deck. Honestly, a Steam Deck, more so than, the ROG Ally or stuff like that, just because of some of the things that come with that, is going to be a really viable option. And I'll break down a few more detailed things. Before that, today we're going to Columbia. We have a medium roast from Columbia. This is a caffeinated coffee, so that's going to be fun to drink. I haven't had caffeine in a while. It is a certified organic, which means nothing to me. Certified organic is just you don't need to buy stuff because it's certified organic in the coffee space. These coffee beans, it doesn't matter if they're organic or not. But if it makes you feel good, whatever. This is a certified organic. So we're going to go ahead and taste that out. Who's it by? It's by Doma Coffee Roasting Company. Doma. Okay, cool. Thank you, Doma. There's a link below if you're into coffee like I am. You can get yourself special, not custom. You can get yourself a subscription service so that is going to be blue. You get yourself coffees. No, that's black. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. Coffees on subscription all over the United States. Really fun stuff. Anyway, continuing on. We talked about, consider the Steam Deck, dude. You're going to have that flexibility. But here's the nuance. Not the nuance. Here's some of the things that I think maybe, me, dude. I don't have to prove my point. You guys probably already have Steam Decks already. And I've talked about it at length. But there are the few things that I'm starting to really appreciate more and more. One is a really bizarre one to me, which is the frame rate. Not high frame rates. Though 90 frames per second is really awesome, dude. It makes you feel like you have a wildly premium product. It's not 120, but at that point, 90 starts to feel unreal. You have that smoothness that is just a touch out of reality, and you're like, this seems really, really nice. 90 is really nice, but it's the 45. 45 frames per second is this magical frame rate to me. What it does is it takes the 90 refresh rate that your display has, you chop it in half, so it's gonna be a really smooth transition. But a lot of games that run at, medium to medium high can target almost 60, right? 60 being the gold standard for such a long time. Almost 60. Well, if almost 60 is the thing, you cap it at 45 and you're getting more than the blurriness and choppiness of a 30 frame per second video game, which, can be a little bit jarring at times. Not as much as a 60 frames per second, but that 45, once you start playing, is smooth enough to give you an experience that is, I won't say indistinguishable, because side by side it is distinguishable, but minutes in, it almost feels indistinguishable. In fact, it completely erases the thought of just the performance isn't quite there. And what's really great about that is you're able to boost a little bit more of the visuals and get that 45 frames per second. Let's say you're just running it's going like between 50 and 60, right? You drop it to 45, it's capped, you're good, you're solid, and you're really experiencing something that is nice and smooth. And I think Target 45 is really one of my new favorite things. I want to coin that, Target 45. Like, you target that 45 on a Steam Deck OLED and you are getting yourself an experience that is just incredible. Now, when we were talking with Christian, we weren't necessarily recommending the Steam Deck OLED, right? We're recommending an LCD, maybe the 64, refurbished. For people who are on a super tight budget looking to get into gaming, I see, and especially dads, if you're looking to maybe your kids are getting old enough and you're like, what should I get them into? That LCD model is really special, especially the 64 gig refurbished LCD model for under $300. It's a great entry level into this space, and with family sharing, you're able to share all these games you already have, which is pretty freaking sweet, mind you. That is super cool, especially if you have games that, your kids might be old enough to play, or, the libraries will go every which way. That's very, very nice. It actually is at a point now where I can see households owning more than one Steam Deck. Now, it's not uncommon anymore for households to have more than one computer, especially in the gaming space. We got kids with computers, we got adults with computers. The day of we have one family computer, I don't know if that still exists. I know growing up, we had one family computer in the middle of a living room, and we had to share that, and it was fine. Oh, this is a good Columbia. Oh man, I get the tartness of the lemon, almost like a lemon zest. This is a really good Columbia. Wow. Oh my gosh. Holy smokes, dude. That it's like a good, it's such a weird thing. It's like a good aftertaste of a solid sweet lemonade. I know, with coffee you think that's weird, like the citrus. Nah, dude. Oh, sweet mother of mercy. Top 5 coffees I've tasted in the past 6 months. Easy, hands down. Top 5 coffees I've tasted in the past 6 months. Holy cow. Thank you for that, Doma. I paid for it. I didn't get it for free, but that's really good. Thank you for your work. That tastes really nice. Tastes really nice. Not gonna lie, a little turned off by the certified organic marketing, but whatever, dude. It's fine. It's fine. That's really good. Really good stuff. Anyway, back to the conversation at hand. I see what's going on in the video game industry with Xbox doing their thing with different stuff, PlayStation in the news for this, Xbox making promises, raising prices of their services, saying $15, it used to be $15 for everything, now $15 gets you no day one releases. Of course they're doing that for Call of Duty, right? Of course they're raising the prices for Call of Duty, and the day one release is not because they're making good AAA titles. It's because they're releasing Call of Duty day one and you'll get it. That's of course why they're doing the $20 a month, okay? Let's just not fool ourselves. It doesn't have to do with adding more value. It has to do with charging more for Call of Duty. And so when it comes to these companies, the traditional console gaming companies, and I'm excluding Nintendo because Nintendo, as it stands, they just play by the beat of their own drum. They're not even involved in any of this. Clearly, they don't care. They're doing their own thing, and they'll always do their own thing. That's why they're so special. But when it comes to Xbox and PlayStation, looking at like, should I get into the console gaming space? Should I upgrade to the console gaming space? I would argue that at this point, I wouldn't necessarily say, hey, get into PC gaming, PC's the best. I'm not going to say that. But what I am going to say is some of the reasons why the Steam Deck for me has been such a pleasurable or a welcomed experience, rather, is because of the value I'm getting in a device that doesn't have any gimmicks, right? I'll unpack that for a second. PlayStation, for instance, they have their subscription service. That subscription service remasters games, whatever. You get a list, arguably a better catalog of games than Game Pass. I know that that's not something that is popular opinion with this audience. I'm gonna say it is because the games that they have on there I think are better for me. And Game Pass does have that now day one is $20 a month. So really, is that day one worth it? I mean, we're talking $20 a month. That is, at this point with Steam, you can get, with sales, Humble Bundle, stuff like this, the equivalent of a AAA title for $20 a month. If you $240 a year and you only shop sales, you will very, very likely be able to pick up some extremely tasty treats in that $20 a month or that you would have spent on Game Pass, right? And that's the thing. When it comes to these devices, right, they're all the same price. With exception, right? Sure, the Steam Deck's $550. Xbox Series X 2 terabyte edition is $600, right? Yes, 512 is 1/4 of 2 terabytes. Totally understand that. And the Xbox Series X can certainly outperform the Steam Deck for sure. But what it doesn't have is it doesn't have no strings attached. And that's the thing I find to be more and more appealing and more valuable about something like a Steam Deck. The no strings attached gaming style. Now, you guys know how I feel about Nintendo. I'm extremely, extremely close to that company. I love Nintendo products. Again, a reason why I omit them from the conversation is because none of this matters to them at all. Because honestly, Nintendo has more first-party exclusive titles that run on the Nintendo Switch. I'm going to objectively say this. They have more first-party exclusive titles that run on the Nintendo Switch than both Xbox and PlayStation combined that have been released in the past 3 years. I think I can say that. I have no definitive proof of that, but I'm thinking of the catalog of exclusive first-party titles that Nintendo has. And I think if you combine exclusive first-party to PlayStation that isn't available elsewhere and exclusive first-party to Xbox that isn't available elsewhere, yeah, Nintendo beats them. Numbers don't matter because at the end of the day, if you're someone who's like, dude, I don't give two craps about Mario platforming, that's a baby game. Give me my freaking Master Chief and Marcus, right? Like, I get it. You're into a different genre. But that's why I omit Nintendo from this conversation, because they're just going to keep remaking Mario 117 times. And people like me and dads like me are going to buy it 117 times because, yes, I want a remastered version of my favorite Mario game. And I'll keep buying a remastered version of my favorite Mario game or just a slightly tweaked version of my favorite Mario game because I love Mario, right? It's just the way it is. I don't know if Halo has that same following, if Aloy has that same following, if, God of War, Kratos has that same following. I don't know. I certainly don't know. I look at that and I think to myself, like, do they have the same weird cult-like following that Nintendo does? I don't know if it's better or worse, but it's something to think about, right? At any rate, that's a little bit off topic. When it comes to this specific subject at hand, talking to Christian, hey Christian, if you're watching this, I really was like, whoa, it isn't as valuable anymore to own a PlayStation or Xbox as it would have been just a few years ago. because of their shift in the industry, because of where they're putting their games, and because of the price of games. When you have sales like the spring, summer, fall, winter sale from Steam, when you have Humble Bundle, when you have the CD Keys website, stuff like this, when you have these things, which offer CD keys for console games as well, but when you have access to games at such an affordable price, games that you own that aren't a part of a subscription service, when you don't have marketing for a subscription service, and more yet, when you don't have a device that is being made by a company that is more focused on the subscription service themselves, that is pretty special. I know that oh gosh, dude, every sip is like a dream come true. This is really good coffee. If you look at Steam and you go, what do they do? Sure, they used to make games. They made a few games back in the day. But if you look at Steam or Valve rather, what do? They make hardware and they make a way for you to purchase your games. They're not perfect. I'm not saying they're perfect, but what they do is everything as close as you can get to it as possible. Deliver games to you, the gamer, and manage your library for you. I just downloaded Stardew Valley on my computer through Steam. I played a few minutes of Stardew Valley on my computer, my Mac, mind you, and then played it on my Steam Deck, and everything is good. It all is back and forth, so sweet. That is really nice. Now, I know that's a really, really basic version of cross-play or whatever, cross-saves across multiple devices, and Xbox can do that with xCloud, whatever, but I didn't pay for that service. That's just a part of owning the game. I own the game. I don't have to pay to use it. I don't have to pay to save it. And I don't have to pay to play this game with other people because I own the product. That is so much more valuable to me than owning a PlayStation. Because when you buy a PlayStation, or an Xbox rather, and I think that at this point PlayStation and Xbox are synonymous, let's just use one last example here. When you purchase an Xbox or PlayStation, and I know this is sounding like a down on consoles, PlayStation and Xbox, and it may be, but I'm just expressing kind of a thought I was having on this, talking to a younger gamer, a Gen, I think he's Gen Alpha gamer. Like, he is the next generation. I'm 35. I think let's say he's 17. He could have been my son, right? So at that age, right, the next generation, they're looking at this, and you could just ask me 5 years ago, I'd be like, dude, get the boy a freaking PlayStation and Nintendo Switch and call it a day. Well, 5 years ago, 5 years ago it would have been PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. Call it a day, right? Get this kid into this stuff. Like, he's gonna be stoked. But at this point, Nintendo's a must. But Steam, like, you look at the longevity in games as a whole, and you're like, okay, so $500 for an Xbox or PlayStation, right? $500, easy peasy, right? Comes with a controller, you're good to go. Let's just say no more extra peripherals, $500. And then the base tier, $10 a month to play online. And let's just say the lifespan of that device is 5 years, although it can be milked for more, but let's just say it's 5 years. That's another $600, okay, for just to play that online. So $1,100 for the device to play online. Steam Deck, OLED, base model 512, right? $550. Let's say it lasts 4 years. Okay, 4 years. Just buy games. I use the base tier, $10. That's a must to play online with friends. That's a must if you want to play online games with friends. You don't have to do that with the Steam Deck. So for the next generation coming in, they are starting to ask the question, maybe. I don't know if they are, cool. If they're not, whatever, dude. I think they should. I think the next generation should ask the question when it comes to spending their money on these systems and with these companies, or putting their money in these companies that keep raising prices almost arbitrarily, or hiding stuff, or saying, look at the value. We now have the biggest studios, the most studios possible, with the biggest sales number, claiming records that they did not make, they only acquired. Xbox claiming records that having these record-breaking numbers of sales when those companies, King or Blizzard, or the user bases there, those records were made before Xbox owned them. You don't acquire the record. I guess you might. I don't know, but I'm sorry. It was a silly thing. It was in a presentation like 6 months ago. They're like, we have some of the best-selling games in all of gaming history. And I'm like, that company just got acquired by you. Like, you just bought it, dude. Like, back off. Oh, man. But anyway, creating this this visual value. Like, look at us. We have this, right? Call of Duty coming to you day one. And then a few months later, day one is now going to cost you more. And I don't think it's the end. I think that we are going to see a $30 a month Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for day one releases. And with that, it may include a battle pass for Call of Duty. It may do that, like Ubisoft includes their ultimate or premium content in their highest tier. But is that the style of gaming you want to get yourself into if you're new to gaming? Is that the way you want to actually enter into this gaming space? Do you want to start purchasing games and doing the gaming things when you're actually not purchasing games? You're doing it through subscription model. That's a really interesting thing, right? Like, that's really fascinating to me, that if you look back just a few years, this push for subscription was heavily value based. Look at what you get for so little. And now we're at a point where if you have multiple consoles, the requirement, now this isn't new, but it's starting to really cause a question, like, why am I paying to play my games that I bought? That's the biggest question that I think is valid in this current state of gaming when it comes to online multiplayer or cloud saves, cross progression, or anything like that. Why am I paying for my game data? That's such an interesting question, I think. And I've been thinking about that since that conversation. And so for the next generation of gamers coming up, I think really when you look at where to start placing your library, it should be, where can I have 100% access to my games, both the game data and the save data, for the longest, right? Because that's important. How long can you take this? And more importantly, how can I play my games the most? Those two things are the most important. If you're like, I'm just gonna sit in my room and play on a TV, then maybe, just maybe, PlayStation. I'm just gonna play FIFA. That's all I'm gonna play. All I wanna do is play FIFA. Great. Although FIFA ends up costing you a lot of money because you pay for a $500 system, a $60 FIFA thing, a $70 FIFA game, and then $10 a month to continue playing online, right? It's neither here nor there. That's it. But if that's good to you, if that's what it is, there is such thing as paying for peace of mind. Totally understand that. FIFA also doesn't run well on the Steam Deck, so there's that. But I don't know if this is new. If it's new and I'm and this is a new discovery to me, just me, hey, I'll be the guy who's like, dude, where have you been? It's fine, dude, whatever. But I don't think that I'm too far off. I think that we're starting to realize that the value that once existed and that we once kind of took for granted is online, pay for online, Xbox Gold or PlayStation Plus. That value has now become, it's not valuable. It's a requirement to play your games. And I look at a console like my PlayStation, for instance, and I think to myself, I paid $500, well more because I had bought a bundle. I paid $500 for that thing. And if I want to play any games with my friends that aren't live service games, I have to continue to pay a subscription. That's an interesting concept to me. It's for added value, whatever it may be. Nintendo does this, but Nintendo's is so absurdly inexpensive. It is valuable. $5? $70 for the year for a family? Come on, dude. And you get tremendous amount of content now. All the different emulators that come with it, with the games that are there, it is absolutely valuable. Absolutely valuable. You guys know how I feel about Nintendo. Christian, this was inspired by you. So shout out to you, Christian. You're a good kid. He's a really good kid. Yeah, this was actually really nice. This was really nice, guys. I enjoyed this. I'm going to turn this into a podcast really bad. And maybe one day I will. All right. You guys are awesome. And as always, happy gaming.